Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of r/AITA. In today's episode, AITA for throwing my sister out of my house after she billed me? AITA for kicking a couple out of our wedding for getting engaged during the bouquet toss, which resulted in that being the center of conversation for the rest of the night? AITA for buying my biological daughter a car but not my stepdaughter? Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. AITA for throwing my sister out of my house after she billed me? My sister is a train wreck. She needed a place to stay and I have a large enough home for an extra person. She has no job or income. I told her she has a few months to get her shit together and leave. I give her about $100 a week to keep my house clean so she has some cash. I gave my sister her $100 and she said I owed her more. I was confused. She said she did other work for me. I asked her what more did she do. She said she walks my dog in the afternoon. I walk my dog every morning and evening. But she takes him with her on her afternoon walks. She said the going rate for a dog walker is $25 per walk. 5x $25 equals $125 on top of the $100. Then she mentions she put together a scrapbook of personal letters and papers. According to her and Etsy, that job was easily another $75. I told her I never gave her permission to do those things. Her argument is that those jobs fell under the umbrella of keeping the house clean and I was ripping her off. So I threw her out. The money isn't the issue. I have plenty of disposable income. I was disgusted how she came at me. NTA. I would have countered with a bill for food, rent and utilities. Every time I tried to pull this crap with my dad when I was little, he would counter with that. Show her what real expenses look like. NTA. Do as she did. Bill her for rent according to local housing prices, her share of water, electricity, internet, groceries etc. NTA. My response? You know what, sister, you're right. I do owe you for that time. So that's $250, right? Now, for rent and utilities, that's, going to use my own figures, $750 monthly. Oh? That seems unfair? Well, that's half of my mortgage and half my utilities. You're right, that is unfair. That's an additional $150 surcharge for the parking lot, HOA fees, and groceries, another $60 for internet. So what are we at now? Right, you owe me $960 and I owe you $250. Why don't I just take that out of what you owe me? So, $710 please. You were doing her a favor and she tried to turn it into a professional agreement. If that's what she wants, the agreement of an employer/employee, then it comes with the stipulations that your living arrangement is now one of roommates, not sisters. Roommates pay rent, sisters get favors. Give her the extra $125 a week and tell her she owes you $250 a week for rent. If these jobs fall under the umbrella of house cleaning and you offered her $100 a week to clean house, then logically speaking, you paid her in full. The agreement was $100 a week to clean house, not $100 plus a bonus for extra work you didn't even ask for. NTA. AITA for kicking a couple out of our wedding for getting engaged during the bouquet toss, which resulted in that being the center of conversation for the rest of the night? Apologies for yet another wedding post. My wife and I, 26/F and 32/M, got married 2 weeks ago. At our reception, her cousin Rachel, 24/F, caught the bouquet. Apparently her boyfriend Ross, 25/M, had been carrying a ring around waiting for the right time to propose and decided her catching the bouquet was a sign. So, immediately after Rachel caught the bouquet, Ross ran out to the dance floor and got down on one knee to propose to her. She said yes, and so obviously this shifted all of the attention onto Ross and Rachel. Everyone surrounded them to congratulate them, and then Rachel asked the DJ to play their song for them to dance, which derailed the next few things we had planned. I already wasn't happy about this because we only had the photographer available for a certain number of hours and I was worried about going off the schedule. But what really upset me was that I could see that my wife's feelings were obviously very hurt that Ross and Rachel were stealing our thunder. My wife is really not the type of person to want a lot of attention or to be comfortable spending a lot of money on herself, so our wedding was the one special day when she was able to do so without feeling guilty about it, and seeing it get ruined for her was awful. I decided to ask Ross and Rachel to leave, and at the time my wife agreed with me. So, when I next had the chance, I pulled Ross aside to tell him that I didn't appreciate him upstaging us and that I thought it would be best if he and Rachel left early so we could enjoy the rest of the night. Ross started arguing with me, saying that I was acting nuts, which caused more of a scene than I expected or wanted because a small group of our wedding guests overheard the conversation and jumped in with their opinions. Ross and Rachel did ultimately agree to leave, but for the rest of the night people were talking not just about them getting engaged but also about me kicking them out. Everyone was on our side, but even so my wife and I weren't happy that people continued to talk more about Ross and Rachel. The reason we wanted them to leave was because we didn't want to keep being reminded all night of the stunt they had just pulled on us instead of being able to simply celebrate our marriage with our friends and family. My wife has since said that it was wrong to kick Ross and Rachel out, and we should have pretended to be happy for them in the moment so as not to further ruin the night because people would have talked less about it that way. Rachel's mother has also complained to my wife's mother about me kicking them out, saying that we should have brought it up to them privately later instead of letting a faux pas turn into a squabble, because now that's the only thing anyone is going to remember about our wedding and or about Ross and Rachel's engagement. I do still think that Ross and Rachel, mostly Ross, were assholes in this situation, but was I also? NTA, while I get it was a spur-of-the-moment engagement, it was not appropriate. That could almost have been forgiven if they hadn't pushed it further. Then going to the DJ to play their song was completely out of line. I'd be mad at the DJ too. He shouldn't be taking requests from people who aren't bride and groom. They should have realized time and place, and the middle of your wedding wasn't it? NTA. Ha! The mother at the end. Telling them they should have done it privately when her son proposed at someone else's wedding. People have no shame or awareness. Seriously, so, your kid does something super obnoxious to upstage someone at their own event, and they're supposed to not react and keep the response private so the kid can continue to ruin their event? No wonder Ross turned out the way he did. Time to cut these people out of your life 100% OP NTA. NTA. Sounds like a very Ross and Rachel thing to do. Exactly why I chose those names, they were the worst couple I could think of. NTA. And send Rachel's mother an invoice for half of the reception and DJ fees. They turned your wedding reception into their engagement party, so it's only right that they cough up their share of the cost. AITA for buying my biological daughter a car but not my stepdaughter? Before my daughter Christina, currently 19F, started high school, I made her a deal that if she kept above a 3.9 GPA for her freshman through junior year, I would buy her a car for up to $20,000 to have her senior year, on condition that if her GPA dipped below a 3.9 I would take it away. She kept a 4.0 throughout high school, so I let her pick out a car before senior year. During her sophomore year, I met my now wife Jenny, now 40F, and her daughter Emily, 17F. Emily started her senior year a couple weeks ago, and a few days ago she texted me asking when I was going to take her to look at cars. This took me by surprise, as I didn't realize she expected a car. She has a 2.7 GPA and spends more time curating her Instagram than doing her homework. I explained to her that Christina received her car as a reward for good grades, not as a given. I later felt bad because I guess I didn't give her the same incentive that I gave Christina, and I told her that if she could get a 3.9 GPA with her senior year grades and get into an accredited college or university, I would let her pick out a car upon graduation. I thought this was a deal, or even unfair towards Christina since I made her keep a 3.9 for all 4 years of high school, but Jenny pulled me aside after Emily went to school and told me I was being unfair since Emily had different circumstances than Christina. For background, Jenny's ex-husband and Emily's bio dad was a very wealthy man who spoiled the crap out of her. Everything she wanted, all she had to do was ask for the first 12 years of her life. She didn't try in school because her dad promised he would get her into any college she wanted and give her a job at his company afterwards. Then, when Emily was 12, her dad was arrested for serious tax fraud. Essentially, he is in prison now, and Jenny has some money of her own but nothing compared to the life of luxury they were both used to. I think Emily is very hurt by what happened, and she also hasn't had the chance to develop a work ethic. I told Jenny that I think my only wrongdoing was not helping Emily develop a work ethic sooner, and that my hope is that she rises to the occasion, cleans up her act, and gets the car. I also said I would do everything I could to help Emily research colleges and perfect her application, but Jenny wasn't having it. She and Emily have both been giving me the cold shoulder the past couple of days and still think I'm treating Emily unfairly. I really don't know what to do. I want to give Emily a goal that is challenging but attainable, but at the same time I don't want to put a strain on my relationship with my family. NTA. You are amazingly generous to make this offer to Emily, a person who you have only known for a few short years. The conditions are absolutely fair and reasonable by any measure. No one is owed a car. Jenny is way off base here and is being an asshole for demanding this. She is undermining her own argument. Her solution to Emily not having developed a good work ethic is to give her a car instead of developing a good work ethic? No. Full stop. I'd keep the offer on the table as a take it or leave it. If Jenny is more focused on spoiling her daughter and trying to make you the bad guy here, you should take a very hard look at your relationship with her. She looks very bad in this light. AITA. Your biological daughter was rewarded for her hard work. Your stepdaughter wants the reward without the work. Your daughter will resent you if you give in on this. Your stepdaughter will resent you without cause if you don't. Do the right thing. Wait, you met Emily and her mom a couple of years ago? And her mom expects you to fork over the cost of a car just because? No, NTA. You offered a deal far more lenient than the deal you offered Christina. It absolutely would be unfair to Christina to get Emily a car just because, life took a U-turn on her. It's Jenny's responsibility to provide a car for her daughter. Emily's circumstances have nothing to do with it. That is not your mess to fix. Frankly, it's generous of you to even offer to buy a car for someone who entered your life only a couple of years ago. NTA. Your wife is the problem here. She needs to start parenting. But I would say a 3.9 for senior year is probably out of reach. Depending on how the courses are structured and the grading scale, that might effectively be straight A's. Even if not, going from a 2.7 to a 3.9 probably takes study skills she just doesn't have yet and will need at least some time to develop. I'd make it a 3.7, or even a 3.5. Those should be attainable, even if she has a slip or two the first semester. Completely NTA, and I can see her bio dad really did some damage to both daughter and wife before their life imploded. You're not giving your daughter a car because she's your biological child, she earned it. You gave stepdaughter the same opportunity, an even better one, actually shorter time frame, and she turns her nose up at it. Your wife is wrong, and she is well on her way to having an entitled lay about who can't be bothered to care for herself if she doesn't see sense. She is crippling her child's future by spoiling her because the non-moneyed real world is not gonna put up with it. NTA. Your wife admits that her father spoiled her, then almost in the same sentence wants you to continue doing that? It's also very toxic that her mother doesn't even try to talk about any kind of compromise with you, but trying to manipulate you instead. Was this ever discussed before your marriage? That being said, if you want to reach compromise here, I believe you need a different kind of compromise. It's not realistic to expect your stepdaughter to go from 2.7 to 3.9 GPA overnight. Also, if she is a senior now, the change in GPA will not make much of a difference for her college acceptance. Think of something else that she could do to earn a car. Maybe she could get a part-time job and you could match whatever she earns? NTA. Op will be odd if he lets his wife and stepdaughter pressure him into getting Emily a car, and he is so worried about the strain of his new family. What does he think will happen to his relationship with his daughter, who has had to work hard for 4 years to earn a vehicle, while her stepsister just needed to act like an entitled individual with no work ethic? If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and we will see you in the next video.